Hi everyone, this is Dango from Rocky Valley server. In this video, we are going to talk about a recent update that is coming to the Chinese server. So this update is actually bringing two of the Lolis to Langrisser mobile. So these two Lolis are Rista and Loli Basil. Both characters are actually from a 3DS game, Langrisser 10C. I posted one of the video about that game in my channel. I think I'm going to play it. Just because they have so many lollies and maids in that game. It's just it looks very attractive, and the story should be pretty decent, I think. Back to Langrisser Mobile, we are going to talk about how they perform in this game. So the first one is Rista. Wow, this is very cute. Wow, damn. I think I need to summon her at 6 star. I mean, together with Loli Bozo for sure. Yeah, this is just so cute. She is from I think she's one of the friend of the main character's Iris, and she's very friendly to human as a dragon, and it is reflected on her talent. So basically, when one of the friendly units getting attacked from the one range, like one ring of Rista, then she will get one extra or two extra mobility depends on star level, and this will last for one turn. And then after the friendly unit that is next to Rista getting attacked, they will receive a debuff. When being attacked from Rista, they cannot receive any guard, and the damage received will be increased by 20% to 40% up to at 6 star, and then they cannot move again. Wow, this looks a very strong talent. It is a team supportive talent. It looks like a tank's talent, but she's not a tank. So this is a little bit weird, but still this is a very strong talent. Ignoring tank with increasing damage dealt by 40% and also increasing mobility for 2. That's like no joke. So basically, in Apex Arena, in PvE doesn't really matter. I think the AI will always target like other units if you position your Rista well. But in PvP, it probably means that the enemy will try to kill Rista before trying to kill others. So maybe Rista is like more tanky build. Yeah, but this is definitely a very interesting talent. It's completely supportive, but this supportive talent also increase the damage and the mobility of Rista. So that's very interesting. The faction for Rista is dark faction, and also the new faction for the Langrisser Tensei faction. Basically, Iris can call the faction buff. So her original skill is like, oh, by the way, this dragon land is a 4 mobility land. So basically similar to Listel's flyer pass. This is a flyer land, but it is not five mobility. It is actually 4 mobility. So very interesting. Yeah, her faction has some similarity to Listel as well. So that's kind of interesting. And then yeah, this is basically just a normal skill similar to Cherry's lightning skill. It's just a 1.5 damage. If you kill the target, the cooldown will reduce by 3. So this is basically the PvE skill. And then here is the thing. This is a special skill for Rista, and basically when attacking the enemy, deals 1.5 damage. If the enemy is a flying unit, yeah, so needs to make sure this is a flying unit, because if a flying like a fly character carrying a cavalry troop, for example, Angelina using Unicorn, they are not considered as a flying unit. So here is something to consider. But anyway, if the target is a flying unit, then the damage dealt increased by 15% in battle, and damage received decreased by 15%. So this looks like an okay skill, specifically to kill flyers, but you don't really have a flyer tank, so you cannot also bypass tank. So this skill, I don't think this skill is a very strong skill. And this is the key skill, I believe. This is basically a strengthened dragon power skill. Yeah, it deals physical damage to like 0.2 physical damage, and then let the enemy have a pass. Let the enemy have a debuff. So when he receive like further attack from Rista, he cannot be guarded, and the damage dealt increased by 40% last 2 turns. And it also cannot allow the enemy to move again, and it also seal the passive skill. Also reduce the mobility by 2 last 1 turn. So this looks basically a very strong debuff skill to the enemy. It's basically this is like remember the talent of Rista also triggers similar effect to the enemy. Like they cannot be guarded, they will receive more damage dealt by Rista, they cannot move again. So those are like very similar. So this is basically this is a skill. Like even you don't attack my friendly unit, I can still use this active skill to basically trigger all the things that can triggered by Rista's talent. So this is a little bit weird skill. It's a completely supportive skill. Yeah, but it didn't say the debuff cannot be removed. So yeah, if this debuff can be removed, then I actually don't think this is a very strong debuff. But we will see. I think it shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't allow the enemy to like dispel or something. But we will see. And then the other land is basically a Lancer land. I actually didn't find any new skill for this Lantern. Basically, it's just some passive skill, and yeah, there is a heavy attack, deals 1.2 damage, and if you are in the defensive tile when you are attacking, then you can stun the enemy for 1 turn. So it's a very yeah. I don't think this is a strong skill. So it looks like she has a very powerful supportive talent, but the skills are kind of mediocre. Yeah, I didn't find the skill super strong. Unless this strong dragon power skill can actually not allow the enemy to dispel the debuff, then that becomes a pretty strong skill. But if enemy can dispel that, no, I don't know. I don't think it is super strong. And then the 3 cost skill, so it's basically attack one enemy, deals 1.6 damage, so pretty high. And when the enemy target is not a flyer, interesting. So remember we have skill that is targeting flying units. Here it is not targeting, yeah, here it is targeting the non-flyer units, so which is actually more useful. So it will attack before the enemy. So basically, no matter what the class the enemy is, like cavalry or assassin, Rista will always attack first. And then if the enemy has the debuff, basically the dragon debuff that Rista applied before, either from the talent or from the active skill, then before entering the battle, she will gain a double life. Yeah, another life basically. She can revive after being killed. So yeah, and then heal 20% immediately. So this, yeah, this basically can only trigger 1 time for the battle. Like the revive can still only trigger 1 time for the battle, and this buff will last for 2 turns. So basically, this 3 cost skill give Rista a revive that lasts 2 turns and then deals 1.6 damage. And if you are not attacking, like if you are attacking non-flyer units, you can actually attack before the enemy. Yeah, that looks a mediocre 3 cost skill. The cooldown for the skill is 4 turns, but the revive can only trigger 1 time per battle. So yeah, I don't think she is very strong. I think she has a very interesting supportive skill that can kind of protect the friendly units, but she's not really a tank. I don't know how tanky she can be. I don't know, how much damage she can deal because you kind of want to do a tanky build on her. So yeah, she cannot ignore guard. The debuff applied, it looks like you can dispel it. So I'm not really sure she's a very strong unit. But she is definitely a very interesting unit and she's a very cute character. So that is enough for you to summon her. And the second character we have is Loli Basil, and this is going to be the faction buffer for the dark faction. So that is very interesting. Meteor faction, the protagonist faction, and the dark faction have been having only one faction buffer for a very very long time, and finally this is the second faction buffer for the dark faction, and this is a very very interesting character. Hopefully they will add one more protagonist faction buffer and one more meteor faction buffer in the future. So the talent is also very interesting. So basically the healing effect will be increased by 10% to 20% depends on the star level. And then when she is using a range skill, she will actually have a range effect. So range effect is something applied to a spot, specific spot. And the range effect was kind of like added after high-end 3-cost skill, but high-end 3-cost skill really sucks, and that makes high-end a very terrible characters to play with. But high-end introduced the range effect. So basically, this effect is not on specific characters. Instead, it is actually on like one or a few area. So it's a range area effect for Loli Basil. After using the range skill, then all of the spots in that area will gain like 1 to 2 turns of the life breeze effect. So when friendly units moving to these range spots, at the end of their turn, it can decrease one of the debuff of the enemy of these units, and then heal. Yeah, and then heal one times Loli Basil's intelligence. So this is basically the talent has two parts. The first part is just increasing the healing effect from 10% to 20%, and then the second part is basically after Loli Basil using any range effect, for example mass heal, and then all of the spot within mass heal will generate will become like a healing will becoming a healing power range. So at the end of your other units, like including Loli Basil, I think, at the end of their turn, if they are staying in one of those spots, they will dispel one debuff if they have one, and they will heal 1 times Loli Basil's intelligence. So that looks a very interesting skill. I don't know how useful that is, but definitely very interesting. And here we go. So Loli Basil has Princess faction, Dark faction, and the new faction for the Langrisser Tensei game. So and yeah, she does have mass heal, so that's a very interesting skill to use. So she's a like healing mage. She has Fireball and mass heal, and she also has the single target attack. Yeah, this is the single target attack. Deals 0.3 range damage and dispel 2 of the buff from the enemy. Yeah, and the other one, she has mass shield. Mass shield. Mass shield is like similar to Liana's mass shield buff. So basically increase the defense by 20%, and then grant you immune to defense and magic defense reduction, and immune to like healing, like cannot heal debuff for 2 turns. Very interesting skill. And then yeah, she has actually a transformation skill. Basically transform Loli to Loli Basil. So basically after the transformation skill, she will turn herself from a healer to actually a dark mage. So all of the healing effect increase will be replaced by damage dealt increase. For example, if you are using a crystal on Loli Basil, crystal's healing effect increase, and also her talent like 20% healing effect increase, now will all be considered as damage dealt increase. So for example, if you are using a healing gear, and if you have a total number of like 70% increase in healing effect, now this becomes the damage dealt increased by 70%. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting skill, and basically, it makes this healer can heal very well and also can deal high amount of damage. So, and then from her talent, remember she can apply a range effect that can heal the ally units. And now this talent also turn around. Instead of bringing buff or like heal like of the ally units, it will generate a range effect that will deal damage to the enemy and generate debuff to the enemy. So for example, if you use mass heal now, this mass heal, like if you use mass heal after transformation, this mass heal will generate range effect when enemy jump into that range to that spot. They will actually receive a debuff and then receive fixed damage, and the fixed damage is 1 times 2 of Loli Bazo's intelligence. Yeah, and yeah, this is very interesting skill. Yeah, this basically turns Loli from a healer to a damage dealer. And then she has another dark faction buff, and basically, yeah, it's just all the stat increase for dark faction characters. That's the 4 turns, and then depends on, yeah, all of the dark factions like characters when they are using skill depends on the cooldown of the skill. They will actually receive damage dealt increase. So for example, yeah, and yeah, this is based on cooldown. So per each cooldown, the damage dealt increased by 3%. So if like for example, Earthquake has 5 turn cooldown, so 5 times 3 equals to 15%. So basically, if Basil received the faction buff from Loli Basil, and then Basil used Earthquake, Earthquake will actually gain another 15% of damage dealt. So this basically is a very strong faction buff because it directly increases the damage dealt. If Lana is using Dark Reaper, then Dark Reaper will gain extra 6% increase in damage dealt. So this basically means like Lana is becoming even stronger as of like single target, single target damage. So that's very interesting. And then the other skill is just Dark Dragon Breath, yeah, which is a very common skill, and Gizlov also know how to use that skill. I think Gizlov, yeah. So and then the 3 cost skill of Loli Basil is basically deals 0.3 AoE damage to all of the enemy within 5 spots, so huge range AoE damage, and then apply 1 random debuff, and then it also heals the ally units for like 3 times of Loli Bazo's intelligence, and then dispel one of the and then dispel 1 debuff. So this is a very interesting skill. I think it's kind of similar to Richer skill. The effect is kind of similar to Richer because it basically deals AoE damage and then apply a debuff and then heal friendly units and then also remove debuff. So depends on if you are using that skill before or after your Loli Basil use transformation. This 3 cost skill can generate a huge area that can either provide healing effect and removing debuff effect for the friendly unit, or provide an area that can deal fixed damage to the enemy and generate debuff to the enemy. So this is a very interesting skill that can be aggressive or become a full support healer. So it just depends on what you need in that game. Yeah, that is very interesting. I think this is a very strong character, and it's super relevant for PvP. For PvE, I think this is a better faction buffer for compared to Basil's. Um, it basically makes Lana even stronger in PvE, and it makes Dark Faction very good for PvE. I mean, Dark Faction don't really have a healer before, and yeah, and this character is just fitting the healer spot and also providing the best faction buff. So I would say this is one of the best character for both PvE and PvP. Probably more important for PvP because PvE is kind of easy, so you can kind of do whatever you want with the character you like. So it is like, yeah, it is a very interesting character. She has sorcerers to use. She has the Hellfire Archer. She has the yeah, she has the sea monster Leviathan to use. Interesting. She also has male mage. She has the crystal. Yeah, she has the crystal warlock. Interesting. So yeah, this is the two characters that is coming to the Chinese server. I'm getting very excited, but this is going to be like after 6 months for the global server. So hopefully you guys can wait with me, and yeah, hopefully we will save enough to summon these two characters. Both very interesting, I would say. Selena is kind of like. I mean, she is very cute, but it looks like her power is not huge. But Loli Basil is very strong. So see you guys later. Peace.